A young boy points toward a police officer in court, and what he says left everyone in shock. The courtroom? Dead silent. A heavy, suffocating stillness filled the air, the kind that made even the quietest shuffle of papers explode like thunder. All eyes were glued to a small figure standing in the witness box, a 7-year-old boy. His little hands clutched the wooden railing, trembling. His face? Pale. And his wide, frightened eyes darted nervously around the room. The judge leaned in, her voice soft, but firm. "Ethan, do you understand why you're here today?" He nodded, lips trembling. Then slowly he raised one small hand and pointed straight at the police officer seated in the front row. The officer's expression hardened instantly. His jaw clenched. Still, the boy's finger didn't move. It stayed right there, steady. "It's him," Ethan whispered. His voice was barely a breath. "He's the one who hurt my mom." And just like that, chaos. The room exploded with gasps that swept across like a crashing wave. The officer jumped to his feet, his chair scraping harshly against the floor. The judge pounded her gavel, but it was too late. The moment had landed. Everyone was now sitting on the edge of their seats, hearts racing with a single burning thought. What could a 7-year-old possibly know that would put a police officer on trial? But this wasn't just about a kid pointing a finger. This was about a secret so dark, so deeply hidden, that it could tear the entire town apart. In just a few minutes, Ethan would say something that would freeze the entire courtroom, something that would make people question everything they believed about justice, loyalty, and the people they trusted most. What could a child say that would shake a seasoned cop to his core? And why? In that moment, did Officer Daniel's eyes flicker, with something that looked a lot like fear. Ethan was never supposed to be here. He was just a shy, quiet kid who adored dinosaurs and spent his afternoons building forts out of cardboard boxes. His world was small, just his mom, their dog, and a little house on Maple Street. But everything changed that night. The night his mom didn't come home. Ethan waited by the window for hours, his face pressed against the glass, until a police car finally pulled up. But it wasn't her. It was Officer Daniels, the same man who always smiled and waved at Ethan from his patrol car. Only this time no smile, no wave, just a cold, grim look and a story that didn't sit right. "Your mom's been in an accident," he said, calm, too calm. "She's gone." But Ethan could feel it, something was off. He saw the way Daniel's hands trembled. He saw the bloodstains on the uniform. And he remembered something, his mom's voice, just a few days earlier. "If anything happens to me, Ethan, don't trust anyone, not even the police." Now here he stood in court, not just a scared little kid anymore, but the only person holding the truth. And he was ready to speak it, even if his voice shook. It all started with a drawing. 1 week after his mother's death, Ethan's teacher noticed something strange. While the rest of the class colored rainbows and superheroes, Ethan's drawing showed dark scribbles. A man in a police uniform. A woman lying motionless. A car with headlights drawn like angry eyes. When she gently asked him about it, he burst into tears. "That's Officer Daniels," he cried. "He hurt my mom. He made her go away." The teacher filed a report immediately, and just like that, Ethan was pulled into a storm of lawyers, investigators, and courtrooms. The police department dismissed it, of course. They called it nothing more than the grief-fueled imagination of a heartbroken child. But Ethan's grandmother? She wasn't convinced. She hired a defense attorney, someone tough, determined, and fully ready to chase down the truth, no matter what it took. The trial? A whirlwind. Tense, dramatic, and full of disbelief. The prosecution said Ethan was confused. A traumatized boy blaming the wrong person. But the defense? They painted a far darker picture, one involving corruption, a cover-up, and a secret that could shatter lives. Ethan's words became the trial's center point. He described the night his mom vanished, in vivid, emotional detail. But the court needed more than just his words, they needed something real. And then Ethan said it. "I have something." His voice shook, but he spoke clearly. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a crumpled, worn piece of paper. It was a receipt. from a gas station, dated the very night his mom disappeared. "My mom gave this to me," he said. "She told me if anything ever happened to her to give it to someone who could help." On the back, a license plate number scrawled in her handwriting. It matched Officer Daniels' personal car. The courtroom gasped again, but this time, the energy shifted. This wasn't just a child's painful memory anymore. This was evidence. But still, proving the truth wouldn't be easy. The department circled the wagons. Ethan's credibility was torn apart. The defense attorney got threats, and Ethan's grandma feared for their lives. Then, a shocking twist. Officer Daniels took the stand. He looked right at Ethan, voice steady. "I didn't hurt your mom, son. I tried to help her. Sometimes bad things happen, and we can't explain why." For just a second, Ethan wavered. Had he gotten it all wrong? Had he blamed the wrong man? But then he heard her voice again. "Don't trust anyone." And he stood firm. The final day of the trial was electric. The defense presented new footage, security cameras from the gas station. It showed Officer Daniels and Ethan's mom arguing, just hours before she died. That little piece of paper? It was a breadcrumb trail leading straight to the truth. Ethan returned to the stand. This time, he didn't flinch, didn't shake. He looked Officer Daniels in the eye and said, "You hurt my mom, and I'm not afraid of you anymore." The room froze. Even the judge seemed to stop breathing. The defense attorney turned to Daniels, voice sharp. "Officer Daniels, why did you kill Sarah Mitchell?" Daniels' face twisted, part rage, part panic. Then he snapped. "She was going to ruin me," he hissed, his voice low. "She found out about the money, the drug money I took to keep quiet. She threatened to expose it all. I couldn't let that happen." The courtroom erupted again, gasps and murmurs bouncing off the walls. "You killed her to protect your secret?" the attorney pressed. Daniels looked around, then at Ethan. "I didn't mean to," he choked out. "We fought. She fell. I panicked. I tried to cover it up." Ethan's eyes filled with tears. But he didn't look away. "You're lying," he said. "You hurt her on purpose. And you tried to make it look like an accident." The jury deliberated for hours. The weight of Ethan's voice, the cold, hard proof, and that confession hung over them. When they finally returned, the room was so silent, you could hear the clock ticking on the wall. The foreman stood, voice steady. "We, the jury, find the defendant, Officer Daniel Grayson, guilty of obstruction of justice and manslaughter in the death of Sarah Mitchell." Gasps echoed once again. Daniels went pale, gripping the table like it was the only thing keeping him upright. Ethan sat quietly. His grandmother held him close, tears streaming. The judge's voice was grave. "Officer Grayson, your badge once symbolized honor. Now, it's a mark of betrayal. You're sentenced to 15 years in prison without parole." The gavel slammed down, and Ethan finally felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: relief.